Welcome to the Project, the podcast with the mission to cover every project throughout pop culture and history. I'm Sam.
And I'm Lewis.
And this week we watched the Robocop animated series episode, Project Deathspore.
Yeah, from 1988. An old cartoon. And it was something.
It was something. Yeah, it's kind of what I expected going in.
Yeah, same.
It's a bit of a weird one. We'll talk about the fact that it's a kid's version of Robocop, which is a bit strange in itself. Talk about Robocop a little bit. I don't have massive knowledge of Robocop.
Me neither.
Okay, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, we'll be talking about that in a little bit. We've got time codes in the episode description if you want to skip straight to that. All personal projects. We haven't recorded in a couple of weeks, have we? So we've probably got some little bits and pieces to talk about, hopefully, between us. But before that, how are you, Lewis?
Yeah, I am good. Got back from a week away on holiday a couple of days ago, which was lots of sitting with my feet up in the sun. So can't really complain about that. Watched plenty of football as well, as the football season's pretty much at an end now.
Sounds like a dream, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I'm not looking forward to going back to work tomorrow.
Oh, God, yeah, I bet. Yeah.
But yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, not quite as. I mean, I've had a pretty chill week, but not in the same way as you. Yeah, it's been all right. Yeah, I haven't really been up to too much. I've been to cinema a couple of times. We're talking about at least one of them a little bit later on. But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm happy to be back. It feels a little bit weird. I almost stumbled over that intro a little bit there. Even though it's not been that long, but yeah, I'm very good though. Yeah, I haven't got much to talk about generally speaking before we get into the first segment. So what is that first segment?
Oh, you mean Project News?
And I didn't say juicy for the first time in weeks.
Oh, well, this one is a juicy one as well. As always, I've Googled the word project and picked off a couple of bits of news for us to talk about. Plus, I've got one extra as well that I didn't search project to find. Okay. The first one is something we've been discussing a lot. As the time we're recording, the Lazarus project set for long-awaited premiere. Oh, it's tonight in America.
Okay. I thought you meant season 2. I was like, whoa.
Season 1 is premiering in America tonight. So when listeners hear this, it will be out on TNT. So yeah, not much to talk about that, but that day has finally come where the Americans can join us on our journey through
hopefully
the Lazarus
we'll get
project.
Some people who maybe have listened to other episodes, didn't listen to our Lazarus ones, and they now get a chance to do so.
I mean, we both really enjoyed that show, so I would highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. You can go back to our episode discussions last year if you wish, but either way, I think it's a great series that people should watch.
Yeah, even if you don't want to listen to us talk about it, which, I don't know why you wouldn't want a full in-depth recap of each episode. So.
But we will be recapping season 2 later this year as well. So maybe watch it and get preparation for that. But yeah, so that is out. The next bit of project news I got is from Far Out magazine. Oh, yeah. Which we've had that before. It isn't the magazine I thought it was. And that is Phil Lord and Chris Miller to direct Project Hail Mary, starring Ryan Gosling.
Oh, did we know they were directing it? Because I think it had been in the works. Oh no, this is the different one. No, this is the one that there's a book of, and it's the same guy who did The Martian, isn't it?
Yes. Andy Weir, who wrote The Martian, also wrote this. And it's just basically an update of that. It's some plot points in here.
Oh yeah.
So the film tells of a solo astronaut who must venture to another star in order to save the Earth from ruin.
Cool.
Which is stuff we've seen before, but sounds very interesting. I mean, The Martian was fun. Yeah. So if it's a similar kind of vibe to that.
Well, I know Amy's listened to the audiobook of that, Hail Mary, and she really enjoyed it. I was quite keen not to hear any plot details, so I don't know anything. I didn't even know that much, but that's very just basic kind of sci-fi premise, isn't it?
Apparently one thing significant about it is that Ryan Gosling's pretty much on his own in this spaceship for the majority of the film. So that'll be interesting to see. Ryan Gosling's a great actor, so I'm sure he can pull that off. But I think that'll be fun. I don't think there's a release date.
No, I guess it's a couple of years off now, depending on how kind of I don't know, like CGI heavy it is, depending on how much post production they need to do.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, that is, and then I've got one last extra
cool.
bit, which is Dylan and the Moon headline UK tour announced.
Oh, nice.
So obviously we spent a lot of time talking about Project Icon. The winner of that recently played Radio 1 Big Weekend, Dylan.
Yes.
We thought Dylan was great.
Yeah.
And he's now doing a 4-day tour in September, which is Friday the 8th of September in Manchester, Saturday the 9th in London, Monday the 11th in Birmingham, and Tuesday the 12th in Glasgow.
Oh, cool.
So Saturday the 9th of September, we could go to that.
September, yeah. I'm just trying to think. I don't think I'm away then. I've got some dates in September, but yeah. Where's in London? Did you say?
Yeah, it's near like London Bridge station.
Yeah, that's easy for us to get to.
And tickets are like 16 quid.
Okay,
I looked
cool.
up, so that may be something worth looking into.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because it'd be interesting to see him do his own show post like Big Weekend, and maybe he's got a couple of new tracks that he's recorded with Jason Derulo.
I'm sure there's some new ones. Yeah. Oh, cool. No, I saw him post on Instagram about the Big Weekend. Looked like a good time, and saw Jordan North posted a photo with him, or the other way around. But Jordan North, they were in a photo together anyway. So that was good. But yeah, no, I didn't. I don't know if it was on iPlayer or anything. I didn't have a look yet to see.
No, I haven't had the chance.
No. Both been very busy.
There's probably some highlights on there.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see. Maybe even on YouTube, actually.
It's at the O'Meara, which isn't a venue I've heard of.
I think I've been to the O'Meara, or maybe it's just one that's on...
But when I looked up, it looks like a 5-minute walk from London Bridge, so it'd be easy for us to travel to.
Oh, it's quite a nice little intimate-looking venue from these pictures as well, so that'll be good.
Yeah, it could probably suit his style quite well as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah,
it's nice to see that he is like going on tour and doing stuff, even if it's like a smallish tour.
Yeah.
With 4 dates, but
I mean, shame there's no Brighton dates, but we can't. But that's kind of most touring artists seem to skip Brighton nowadays.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're close enough to London. It's like, yeah, we still have to travel.
It's the back that's the issue, as we spoke about a few months ago.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a pain. But yeah,
oh, cool.
We will.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that. See what the dates we can do.
Yeah, exactly. So that is project news for the week.
Woo!
Which means we can go into our main topic, which is Robocop.
It is,
The animated series from 1988. We watched episode 3, Project Deathspore.
Yes.
So it only ran for one season. This came out the year after Robocop the film, so it was pretty quick into production. Before Robocop 2 or 3, obviously. Before we go into the background of this, have you seen Robocop?
I knew you were going to ask me this. I don't think I have seen Robocop, but I was thinking about it, and I feel like because it's so central to that kind of 80s nostalgia wave stuff, like that alongside like Back to the Future, and I guess you could kind of throw Star Wars in because of the kids growing up in the 80s. I feel like a lot of the kind of visual iconography, like there's the big Walker thing, and there's him dying, and the bit where he gets shot and all that. I feel like I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it. Maybe when I was younger.
I don't know if I've seen it. I don't think
I feel like I haven't. I feel like I would remember.
I think I've seen parts of it, and obviously there was the 2014 reboot as well, which I didn't see.
With Joel Kinnaman, I think. Yeah. Which apparently was quite good. I think people were a bit critical at the time because it did stuff a little bit differently, and it was a bit more about like drones and surveillance, and it had more modern themes. But I feel like I spoke to some people who really liked it. But it is a strange choice, isn't it, to go from a very kind of bloody adult movie to a Saturday morning cartoon.
But I guess it was like, let's cash in as much as we can.
It's the era of kind of like Transformers and stuff like that, isn't it?
Exactly.
It makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I was looking it up actually, and I think there was a couple other things, like Rambo had a kids animated show as well. And there was something else that popped up when I was looking as well. It's definitely that kind of
late 80s
commercializing.
There was an A-Team one around the same time as well, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this series was created by Edward Neumeier, who wrote the film, Robocop.
Okay.
So it
At
was
least
like,
there's that.
yes, he made the film and was like, I want to make a kids series of this. So
Yeah,
adds to kind of the legitimacy
it might
of
have
it.
even just been, I want to tell more stories in this universe, like you say, prior to getting the green light for 2. Yeah.
He also wrote Starship Troopers. And the other 2 films he's done is Anacondas in like 2004, and then he also wrote Robocop 2014.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
So
Nice, yeah.
I read as well that the reason he didn't he started writing Robocop 2, but then there was a writer's strike, which seems very topical at the moment. So he had to step out, and the person who finished it off wasn't part of the Writers Guild, which was Frank Miller, who came in and finished the film. And I was like, well, because he's not a Hollywood writer, he's a comic book guy, he was not part of the same union. I was like, that's fascinating, really.
I wonder if that will play into this current writer strike at all.
Yeah.
I imagine maybe now they've amalgamated different writers.
Probably, because I don't remember reading anything like that for the last one that was like, 10 years ago or whatever, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, have you seen Starship Troopers or Anacondas?
Yes, I've seen the first Anaconda film, which I thought it's pretty silly. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
It's pretty silly. I remember the thing that I thought was weirdest about it is, John Voight?
Yeah.
He plays like he's like the guy who takes them off to do the mission, but he's kind of like there's a bit of ulterior motives, and I think he kind of ends up being the human bad guy. But he's doing like this kind of like Hispanic Latino accent, and he's kind of slightly like tanned up and stuff, and it's just it's a really weird performance, and it's kind of supposed to be jokey, but he's kind of doing a bit of a stereotypical thing from memory. It's got some fun creaturey stuff. It's very kind of Lake Placid. It's very kind of post Jaws kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's creature feature kind of thing. But Starship Troopers I think is very good.
Starship Troopers is great. He also did the direct to DVD sequels to Starship Troopers, which aren't as good. And I haven't seen them. I always thought they were done by someone different. So I think I saw Starship Troopers 2, and I was like, whoever made this has kind of missed the point of the first one. Cause it's more just like,
because the director, I can't remember who directed the.
It's Paul Verhoeven.
He also did Robocop. Yeah. And because there's a lot of, because he talks about the kind of anti-fascist side of it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, it's one of the oldest internet debates about people missing the point of Starship Troopers.
And people just like, enjoying like
they're literally wearing fucking SS uniforms. Like when what's he called? Neil Patrick Harris turns up towards the end in his fucking leather trench coat. I'm pretty sure they even got like the skull on the caps and stuff.
I think I watched this once with someone who missed the point of it, and I was like, how? It's not even like subtle.
No. And I think the thing is, I think it's the book that it's based off isn't quite as
in your
face about it, or something like that. I know that between Paul Verhoeven and Edward Neumeier, I think between the two of them, they really put like this very obvious kind of satirical spin on it. I really like it. Yeah, I think it's one of those films I think I watched when I was younger and maybe didn't fully grasp that side of it, and just thought it's obviously taking the piss of like the military industrial complex kind of thing. And I just remember like there's lots of like gratuitous kind of nudity, like there's bits where they're all in the showers, and it's just like as a kid I was kind of like there's a lot of nudity in it, like, and it's very violent and stuff. But no, they're good films though, like pretty fun.
Is it Starship Troopers that they parody in Futurama as well, when they go off to when Bender and Fry get
the like bouncing balls.
Yeah,
because it's even the thing where it's like they invaded first and they've flipped the narrative or whatever. It's something like that, isn't it?
They're the invading force. But this film, this animated series stars as Robocop Robert Boxsteel.
Okay.
Who he did a few voices in the X-Men animated series, just like odd episodes.
Yeah, it's very much got that kind of vibe, the animation. I'd say it's a little bit like 90s Spider-Man, but it's probably closer to the X-Men in terms of its kind of vibe.
He also voiced Pip the Troll in the Silver Surfer animated series. That's random. I also saw his most recent credit live action. He did a Christmas film in 2020 with Mel Gibson and Walter Goggins called Fat Man.
Oh, I think that's the one where it's because there was a recent one with I always forget what his name is. The cop from Stranger Things. What's he
Oh,
called?
David Harbour.
David Harbour. There was one called like Slay the Bells or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was like John Wick, but he's Santa kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. And I think this Fat Man one was a bit like that.
Yeah.
And it was Mel Gibson is Santa, but maybe it's the kind of thing where is he Santa or is he just like a lunatic who's on his own? I think that might be that film there.
Yeah, he had a small part in that film as well.
Fair.
We've also got Susan Roman, who plays Anne Lewis, his partner. Who have you ever watched Sailor Moon? I know you're a bit of an anime guy.
No, it's not really my. I mean, I might like it, but no, I haven't ever seen it.
She plays
very popular anime.
Sailor Jupiter in Sailor Moon,
cool.
And she's done loads of animated stuff in the 90s. She plays Scarlet Witch in the X-Men animated series as well. So lots of bit parts like that. I wonder
if she'll be back for the new one.
Maybe,
because I think they were getting like Wolverine and a couple of the main people back for the new revival. So they're the main cast members. There's a lot of other people who haven't done much. I got down. Barbara Budd played Dr. Tyler, who appears in this episode a bit. But apart from that, it wasn't a big series. Yeah, so. I think from what I saw, it seems like they've taken quite a few of the characters from the film and kind of brought them across.
Yeah, so those three are in the film, I think.
And I think there was a particular character. I don't know if it was towards the end of this, we get like the businessman who runs the corporation.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's him they were referring to because I don't know any of the names of the characters. They said the only main difference is that character is dead at the end of the film, but appears in this. So it's like a semi-sequel to the series, to the film, but it's not quite. Yeah.
So the episode description is Alex Murphy, a police officer, mortally wounded in the line of duty, is turned into a powerful cyborg and continues to serve the public trust, protect the innocent, and uphold the law.
Yes. That's literally what it's the intro, isn't it?
Yeah. Part of me feels like that, like Robocop couldn't be a fresh idea in like 2023 because I mean attitudes towards the police, particularly in America, have turned quite a lot.
Well, even like I'm slightly more familiar with like Judge Dredd from like Dredd, and like a lot of the way that like there's the part where she wants to go arrest them and he's like, we can't do anything until they've committed a crime. Like I was like, that just feels like Judge Dredd to me. And I know they're around
there's a lot of similarities.
It's just I didn't I see exactly what you mean in terms of that thing, because he's kind of just
like the ultimate cop.
It's the ultimate cop. It's super cop, and he just because like Judge Dredd is like a parody, and it's like taken up to the max. But RoboCop seems to be like you're supposed to be like this guy knows, but then he's like a machine. He's like there's no like it's black and white. It's like binary, right? So it's not the best idea for a kids kind of superhero.
So I've got the IMDb rating for the series overall and this episode. If you want to have a guess,
I'm guessing.
I'll give you a clue. The rating for the series overall is lower than any of the episodes, which is bizarre, but that's how it worked out.
So I'm gonna go for the series at 4,
right,
and the episode at 5.
Wow. Okay. No. the series is a 6.0.
I was gonna say 6, and then you said that confused me.
And the episode is a 7.2.
Fuck. Okay.
I feel like you may be giving it a lower rating than that at the end of the episode.
I mean, probably lower than those. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't. It's just chucked his phone across the room.
It's not the second time I've done that. I would just carry on, but it's got my notes on, so I'm gonna go pick that up.
I'll talk. Well, I just like we talk about it a bit in general before we go into the kind of plot recap. I think it was quite a fun episode in that there was a mixture of like very kind of kiddie humor. There's the whole thing where he's got like sneezing and stuff. And there was enough kind of actiony bits that it didn't feel too kind of stagnant or stale. There was the plot kept moving over the 20 minutes. It wasn't particularly original. Like the Deathspore itself wasn't really anything.
And I feel like Yeah, there was enough action to kind of keep your eye on it, but like I don't think the action was particularly good.
It was quite samey. Like both times he fought the thing, it just like grabbed him and threw him, and then he was like, "Oh."
Like he shoots a bit, he grabs and it's thrown, and it's like.
And there was a little bit of kind of semi-action with the people at the start. I think a lot of the action, I imagine they do a bit of the Spider-Man 90s thing where it's like you can only hit them in certain ways and stuff. And they one of the things I saw said they changed all the guns to lasers rather than he's normally got like a big old like Magnum revolver, not revolver, like a future blaster thing that just blows people's arms.
Future blaster,
and he targets like the guy's gun to shoot out of his hand and stuff. So I feel like they've made some very obvious choices there. But yeah, I mean, what did you think of it overall?
Yeah, I mean, like it's very much that kind of late 80s, early 90s kids show. The kids, and I feel like it's one of those where like if this was an original idea in series, nobody would have thought about it twice. But because it's Robocop, it's probably the only reason it got made in the first place. And it's kind of like cashing in on the Robocop idea and not really doing much with it, I feel.
No. It does feel
it
like
feels like one of those where it's like, oh, we've got this like violent successful film, why don't we sell kids to toys? Or even better,
toys don't tend to have too much money, so that's probably...
okay. Even better, let's sell toys to kids, and it felt like one of those series.
I imagine there was a whole range of toys for this,
or at least planned, and it was only around one season.
True,
so.
It was like 12 episodes, wasn't it? But should we talk through the plot and see?
So it starts with, as you said, an intro. It's basically the episode description, and I was like, I appreciate that because like it's like, hey, here's this backstory, because it is a bit of a confusing backstory if you don't know it, of like, oh, he was injured, he became a cyborg and he fights crime. Okay, it's pretty simple.
Like when you say it, but if he just turned up, you might be like, is this a guy? Is it not?
Is he a robot?
It's only his chin that's popping out, and it's
Although he takes his mask off, I think that's where sometimes I get Robocop and Dredd mixed up, because
they both have their chin popping out. But I think Robocop is pretty much just the head within a mecha kind of body, effectively. It also, some of this reminded me of the Zeta Project a little bit, because he was like a tall robot guy with a little person who kept yammering on about stuff all the time.
I can see that.
Just like the kind of relationship between the two of them was a little bit similar.
So the episode starts with a doctor, a scientist who's working on like an experiment. And I don't know about you, slightly racist depiction of a doctor.
I was like, I didn't look up whether the guy was Asian who was playing it, but like they were leading into the kind of stereotypical accent. I was like,
like that.
Damn, like,
I think he's called like Dr. Hijiri or something.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
And they mentioned that he's Japanese, and it's like they really go into that like Japanese accent.
It felt like either someone what do you call it? Like making it more extreme, exaggerated. To say like exacerbate.
It sounded
like a white guy just doing like a really racist accent.
But anyway, he's working on this experiment, and his creation escapes from the lab essentially.
They're like, we need to put the Vita beams on it, and it like does something, and it goes out the window or through a vent or something. And it's kind of like, it's called Project Deathspore. I don't know why it's called that, because spores implies like mushrooms that, with fungal move. It's like a kind of tentacly monster, isn't it, really?
And it's also not like designed to kill.
No, because we find out its purpose later, and
it's like basically draining energy.
Pretty much.
But then we cut to Robocop and Lewis, his partner.
And they're doing a stakeout because they think some biker gang is gonna do some crime, which turns out to be like an extortion racket. And they're complaining like, oh, it's awful being here, it's so rainy. And then when the people turn up, she's like, we better go do it before we get more wet. And I'm like, you're sitting in a car. Like, the dialogue is so badly written.
It's like the dialogue was written and then they like animated it and then didn't make any changes.
And I was like, okay. And this is when he's like, we need to see a crime first before we can go in.
It's
like, okay.
Bikers arrive. and like they go in the shop, and they ask for money from the shopkeeper.
Yeah.
Robocop goes in, and he's like, "Hey, stop!"
Yeah.
They'll start firing bullets.
Well,
at him.
they're like, oh no, it's Robocop, and then they all just. So presumably they know who he is. They know he's like indestructible.
Yeah.
They all just start shooting at him. Lewis jumps out the way. He just takes all the bullets, and then he just like gets him.
And one person's like, "He ain't human." And,
yeah, you know
who he is though, and like it's kind of wrong in two ways because like you know who he is, you know he's like a cyborg, and also he is human. Yeah, like that's kind of the whole point is that he's a human cyborg.
Yeah. Also, shoot his chin. You know?
Shoot his chin and shoot him in the chin. And then this is where Betty shoots the guns out their hand.
Yes, and I think Lewis gets one of them who's like in. Is she called Lewis?
Yeah.
I get confused then. I was like, oh.
And Lewis. It kept getting me confused as well.
Yeah, one's hiding in like a dumpster and she's like, I gotcha. Like, so she's done a little bit.
There's a bit before that because he like one of them like hits him over the head and he knocks him down. So that she's like arresting one, he's got one, and this other guy was like, bye-bye, and he like runs through, and I was like, surely he could like, he's Robocop, he could hold two people, and he jumps on a bike, and then Lewis chases him on the bike, and kind of cuts him off and just drives straight into him,
crashes into
and he
him,
flies off into this bin, and,
right, okay,
and then she arrests him, and it was like, cool, well, I was like, that's quite a fun little intro, and also, like, and is it, what's the word? Extortion racket?
Yes, yeah, because they then mention that again later.
Yeah. It's a foreshadowing.
Yeah.
And we see this like slime monster thing moving through the sewer.
Yeah.
And it starts chasing some homeless people.
Yeah, and then some people like run past them. And
I think it's the same homeless people as chasing.
And they're like, hey, what's going on? And this guy's like, it's monsters from Mars, officer. I was like, okay, this guy's got an interesting accent.
And Robocop's like, I'm going to go check that out.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, babysitting duty again. It's like, he's a robot guy and you're not. So you
do you want to go down there? And he comes across this monster and it's like stealing energy.
Yeah, it's like sucking shit up and stuff.
Sucking shit up. And he like hits Robocop away and like sends him flying, and he's like, oh, and then like corners Robocop.
Yeah.
And Robocop's like, oh no, this is a big guy. And it knocks him again, and Robocop's got like a malfunction.
Yeah, it kind of grabs him and does like a sucking thing on him.
Yeah, then we kind of get like the view from inside his helmet with flashing malfunction coming up.
And it means he can't like aim to it.
Yeah.
And then he shoots like into the distance and blows something up.
Yeah. And I was kind of like, maybe take your helmet off and just use your eyes. But
I think maybe his eyes are all funny as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Robocop was like basically getting completely overpowered by this monster.
Yeah.
Lewis turns up and Robocop's like collapsed on the ground. So she shoots some rockets from her police car, and I was like,
yeah.
I feel like that shouldn't be used to. Why do police cars need rockets in them?
It's the future. There's mega crime or something.
Yeah.
The thing's got like crab claws now as well. It's like evolved a bit, and it's like it's kind of like tentacle / plant / kind of insecty thing. Yeah. It's quite a bad design, isn't it? It's just like
it's
just like green shit.
It's because it's kind of like evolving as well. It means like you never get like a definitive picture in your head of what this monster looks like. So it's just kind of
it's like a kind of
a mess of stuff.
When I think of it, I'm thinking of like a kind of Venus flytrap kind of thing, because the claws kind of make you think of like a mouth.
If I think about it now, and I watched this morning,
yeah, me too.
One image is like a big like pile of slime, essentially with like an eye on it, and then later on like a big like ant. Later in the episode, that's kind of what I'm picturing. So
we've obviously come away with very different things there.
Which is kind of a downside on the design, clearly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Lewis kind of grabs Robocop and puts him in the car, and the monster's powering up.
Yeah.
And more police arrive.
Yeah, and there's the guy who seems to be like their rival in the police, and he's like, "Stop shooting! We're not." Because he's like, drop your weapons. And I thought he was talking to the thing. I was like, you're dumb.
He puts the B in A cap.
And then
the monster's gone like, I think the energy is like making it grow, and it's kind of gone like full kaiju.
Yeah, I think this is when it has its big claws, and it's like
yeah. And that he's
they
like,
say we've got to wait till Dr. Hijiri arrives.
Yeah, so like the monster's not to be harmed, just contained. And I was like, oh, they're on the payroll of big business, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I think literally the company that made it is the same one that made Robocop and like owns the police. So I think it's like
And then Robocop like sneezes, but like sneezes electricity.
Yeah.
Now this. Right.
What
Let's talk about this.
So this is the main thing that goes throughout it from now.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of debate when the doctor talks to him later, because she's like, you couldn't have a cold. You're only a bit human. Or
the
whatever.
monster escaped.
Monster just runs off or something. Yeah.
But yeah, like he's got a human head, right?
Yeah. So he's got a head cold, literally.
Yeah.
But
why is he sneezing electricity?
But why did he get a cold? Was it related to the fact that it drained some of his power?
I assume so.
Because I thought they were going to make some joke about like, oh, he's got a virus because like,
oh, that would have been good.
Right? Yeah.
But then also like once another character catches a cold of him later this episode, so it is just a common cold.
Maybe it's the fact, because I think they say later that his robot side is supposed to fight off anything. So maybe the fact that it got drained a bit allowed him to
imagine if he got drained and he just like got every disease, because like his robot side's been fighting off like everything for years. And it's just like
it's just riddled with diseases. And then that whole precinct would be fucked, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but yeah, he sneezes electricity, which doesn't make any sense to me.
It's kind of this side of it is the kind of jokey kiddie side, where it's like it's playful after he'll do a sneeze and it will affect something around him, and they're like, oh, and there's like bits when they're trying to make him feel better, and it's just that's the stuff I didn't like about this. It was just a bit stupid, really. No,
but yeah, they're back at like the police hub, and he's going to look at like.
I thought you were going to say hut. Police hut. Pizza Hut.
But yes, Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut.
He's at Pizza
the Policia Hut.
He's at Pizza Hut, looking for these secret police files.
That's where they keep him.
And the guy's like, no, you don't have the clearance, and he's like, I'm fucking Robocop.
So he's not binary and rule breaking. He's happy to break rules.
Yeah.
Surely that's illegal for him to do that.
Yeah. Maybe it's because he's ill.
Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not like Judge Dredd. Maybe I just think he is.
But like he says, like at the start, like, "Oh, we can't catch him until he breaks a rule," which implies that he's very binary and he's a cyborg. But he sneezes again, and it like breaks one of the machines.
Yeah, all the machines are like sparking away, and the guy's like, "Oh, get out of here before you!" And he's then finds this file for Project Deathspore.
Yeah,
and they basically say it's for bringing down uncooperative nations.
Yeah, I was like, this is like quite intense and political for a kids show.
Yeah,
he says, "Oh, it's a protection racket on a global scale." And it's like, yeah.
So they send it in, it zaps all the power away, and they hold the nation hostage until they do what they want, basically.
Yeah, and they're like, basically, I don't know, get rid of your democratically elected leader.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And put in the person we want, unless, or we'll leave this monster here.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, that's quite a cool part of this, I thought.
Yeah, and do you know what? Based on some of the stuff we've talked about in previous episodes, it wouldn't be out of mind for the CIA to do something like this.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to do probably more of a what did we watch where they were like, we're gonna do a thing where you put everyone to sleep in the country and then they just invade?
I think it was that White Rabbit project. No,
I think it was
yeah, there was something.
Maybe that was White Rabbit,
where they talked about, and it would be like an invasion in
like one day. That? Maybe it was Crazy World War II weapons.
Yeah,
I don't think it was though.
No, it doesn't sound right to me.
Maybe it was yeah. But yeah, so that feels very similar to this kind of thing. But I think that was a real thing.
Yeah, but me kind of thinks it's a real.
Yeah,
I'm trying to look it up. It's going to be impossible to.
Yeah, I mean, if I look on my Google Docs, If I do invade,
like there's so much like it's gonna be. I don't know.
Was it Eliminator?
I was gonna say, was it a film
Let's have a look.
where it's gonna be like even harder to look up, and I'm trying to like make time here, but I don't think I'm gonna find anything.
Oh, I think I think Eliminator, we didn't really understand what the thing was anyway. And that was like a weird flying thing that flew around and shot missiles. So I don't think it was that.
Right.
Who knows? Yeah. But no, it definitely felt like something else when
Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold the phone. I may have found something.
Okay.
Where is it?
I mean, it's more interesting than the rest of this plot, to be honest. So I'm quite happy to find out.
No, maybe
my
not.
note: Robocop is sick.
No, it was dead end. But anyway,
that's okay. If we find it out over the course of the episode, we can try to bring it back in.
Yeah. So
this is when he goes to see the doctor because they're like, you're sneezing all over the stuff and you're bad. So we're gonna take you to the doctor. And this is when she's like, your human side is ill and it might be the common cold.
Yes.
Oh no, she suggests it's the Alex Lewis.
And Lewis.
Because he's Alex Murphy, yeah. And Lewis suggests that it's a cold. And this doctor's like a real bitch to her. And she's like, a common cold? Don't be so stupid.
Yeah.
I think you should leave the diagnosis to me. And then he starts like sneezing more. And she's like, oh, maybe it is.
Yeah. And then he like leaves to go stop Deathspore.
But I think he does like a big like cartoony nose blow with a big hanky.
And we've also said at this point that Dr. Hejiri is talking to this man in a suit.
Right.
And he's you've got 24 hours to sort this out because we want this Deathspore back under control.
I think that's the corporation guy that we might see a bit later on. Maybe. Yeah.
So the police are trying to deal with Deathspore.
Yeah.
They drop a big electrical net on it.
And then obviously it just sucks up the electricity.
Sucks up all the power. And then they choose like a freeze ray at it.
Yeah. And then they say something like, it's regulating its temperature or something.
Yeah, it's like, we've done it. And then it breaks out.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and then they try and use like a helicopter to do something. And then the helicopter just gets like knocked out of the sky.
Like, these police are fucking useless, aren't they?
Considering they should have put a non-electric net on it.
Yeah.
I guess it's the future. Everything's electric.
Just don't make it electric. Like I've probably got a net somewhere that's not electric. Like,
oh, you got so many nets.
I maybe like have I got a net?
I haven't got any nets. Like a fishing net for when you're doing a trawling.
Maybe somewhere I've got like a football goal net.
Oh yeah.
Which would probably work for a smaller animal.
Yeah.
That's quite handy, yeah. Robocop arrives and he wants to. The police start shooting the Deathspore, but obviously with these laser guns, it's just powering up more. So Robocop wants to lead Deathspore away from the police because the police are just making it more powerful because the police are useless.
Yeah, they're just shooting shit. And because everyone's weapons are energy weapons, they're just it's just constantly powering up.
And then he has a malfunction and sneezes again, and it gets the attention of Deathspore.
Yeah, they say it's attracted to his power output or whatever because he's got the best power or whatever, something like that.
And it shoots Lewis. And it starts draining Robocop of his power again.
Yeah.
And then one of the police guys says, "Oh, it's got Robocop. Bon appetit."
Yeah, because I guess a lot of the police hate him because he like shows them up.
Yeah, but also he's just going to make him more powerful. Then
they don't understand.
You're an idiot.
Yeah. And then he just seems to be okay somehow. I don't know if I missed something there. Does it just drop him?
Yeah, he's kind of. I think it drains as much power as it can, and Robocop's just kind of out of it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a big like electricity plant.
Oh yeah,
thing. So it's
the
like
new power plant. Yeah.
No, it's not the new. It's
one.
Just like
just another one.
There's all those electrical bits like in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, one of those.
Just a power plant, I think.
And it goes to there because that's more power. It drains a load of that, and then it escapes. And Robocop is fine.
This is what I mean. He's just like on the floor, and then he just gets up, and they're like, "You okay?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Yeah, and the police like have a go at him, and he was like, "You were the ones fucking making him stronger."
Yeah, and then he's the next scene. He's like with the doctor again, and she's like, "Watch out, Robocop! One more sneeze and you'll die." I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
I know that's like it's like the very low stakes of it, of the kind of episode, but it's very extreme too.
yeah.
One more sneeze, which is like, how often is he sneezing? Like once every hour, I guess, at this point. It doesn't really make sense.
But Lewis, his partner, brings
Yeah.
in some chicken noodle soup.
Yeah, she's like, "I've got a magic elixir for you," and then she's like, "It's my mum's traditional remedy."
And Robocop's like, tastes good.
She's like, she says, "Clean your bowl like a good cyborg," and I was like, I don't like that.
I don't want to think about their relationship when they're off duty.
I don't know what their relationship is. I don't know if he's got like a family. I think they're together before, maybe.
Really?
Before he's a cyborg, maybe.
Did she break up with him because he became a cyborg? That is not love.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting confused with something else. I know in the recent film, I saw a bit on TV, and he has like a whole family, and then he's like can't go back to them because he's like only a bit of himself or whatever.
Yeah, but
which is, but yeah, it seems like there's a bit of a there's a dynamic that I didn't love in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a scene, and it's the man in the suit who's opening the nuclear fusion plant.
There's some really funny bits here because there's protesters, and did you hear some of what there's like you can hear the chant sometimes?
No, I didn't catch any of
when
it.
he's doing the I've written down two of them here. And when he's doing the opening, and there's a guy that's like, "Nuclear fusion causes confusion."
Nice.
I was like, that's silly.
It is silly that they're opening this plant when there's a monster going around draining energy from everywhere.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's really, really stupid.
Yeah.
Like, just don't do it.
And then as it's opening, the ground splits open, and it comes out this big monster, and it's like, I'm gonna get it. And this is when the same guy in the crowd, as he's running away, goes, "Nuclear fusion did this." Like, there's some funny bits in this.
I feel like obviously, right? Tangent. Obviously, in real life, there's always ongoing debates about nuclear energy and how like it's actually one of the cleaner form of energies, as long as we don't like Chernobyl it, essentially.
Yeah.
And like, I know France has been building loads of nuclear power plants over the last few years.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, fair enough. I see the pros and cons of both sides. It is fairly clean energy.
Yeah, I think people generally don't want it near them in case of something. But realistically, like if any of those in France go Chernobyl way, we're going to get affected almost as much as if one was in the north of England, like.
But if you're in a like a terrible futuristic world where you're in Detroit and it's riddled with crime. Detroit comes up a lot on this podcast, actually. There was something else that was in Detroit.
Yeah, the Project Legion was like, I'm going to go back to Detroit, where I'm from.
Yeah, because I'd just seen 8 Mile for that episode as well.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, if you're in this kind of crime-ridden Detroit where it's full of corruptness and, things always going wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe don't build a nuclear plant there.
Yeah. Although it's nuclear fusion, so it's completely different.
And I think they said there's like no waste or anything. And
I think they were like, this is the first ever one.
Yeah. Still, don't fuck around with nuclear power if there's any chance of it going wrong.
And the guy, the businessman guy, his voice sounded really familiar, and I thought for a second it was Kingpin's voice from animated Spider-Man. Looked up, it's not the same guy, or at least he's not credited as anything in this series. But it was that kind of like bad guy. He's probably
generic.
He probably plays like Lex Luthor in something or something like that. It was that kind of quite kind of dramatic gravitas voice, but. What are you looking for?
I just pulled a button off your cushion.
Well,
I was fiddling. No more fiddling.
No more fiddling.
But yeah, anyway.
Robocop just turns up and he's like, I'm going in. And this is when his partner is just like, hey, where are you going? What are you doing? That's crazy. You can't do that.
Yeah.
It's like her role is just to like question what he's doing and be like, oh, kind of useless.
But Deathspore arrives at the nuclear plant, and it looks like a big bug. I thought it looked like a big ant,
kind
of like an Ant-Man when Ant-Man's small and it's kind of like the big ants in that kind
They're
of
like green, isn't that?
Yeah.
Like a praying mantis ant kind of vibe. Yeah.
And this is when the suit guy's like, oh no, we need to destroy that. And then the Dr. Hijiri is saying that like all the attacking is making it stronger because all the laser weapons, as we said,
which
obviously.
we all knew already. Yeah.
And then the police like start shooting and they're laughing like, I was like, God, these are the biggest fucking idiots.
Maybe
no wonder Detroit's gone to shit.
Maybe they did keep some of the anti-police commentary in this.
Maybe. And then the monster starts shooting back. I don't know how. It's got
I guess
lasers.
It's stored up energy or whatever.
Yeah. And then the suit guy starts like having a go at Dr. Hijiri. He's like, you did this because you let it out. And it's like, didn't you order this thing to be created? And he's like, all is lost and profits will fall. And I was like, wow. Well, okay.
So, it's not very transparent what they're doing here, is it? And it's very transparent.
I was like, that's funny. It's also when they do stuff like that in a kids show, and it's like,
it is weird that like lots of 80s kids villains were like businessmen.
Yeah.
But then if you think about how many kids grew up watching that and have become businessmen who are like destroying the world.
Yeah.
Like any of the main tech guys that you think of now
would have grown up.
Bezos, Musk, all of them would have grown up watching this stuff and gone, that Lex Luthor, like
I want to be like him.
I want to be like him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is bizarre, isn't it?
But Robocop arrives and he's still quite ill. But Deathspore's at the nuclear reactor, but so is Robocop because he's caught him up.
I don't really understand. What triggers Robocop's plan, or does he just make up an idea?
I think he just makes up an idea. So as Deathspore's getting to the nuclear reactor, he's like, I'm gonna super dumb plan. I'm gonna absorb the power core energy into myself, so there's no power in the energy core. That couldn't go wrong. It's not like Deathspore has grabbed me twice already in the last day and drained all my energy.
Yeah, but then even beyond that, he then decides to like dive bomb it. I don't really understand.
So where's that energy gonna go?
It will go into the creature, you'd think.
Right? But surely he's just acting as a middleman for the creature now.
So I wasn't sure if I'd missed a thing where like Hijiri's like, hey, if you overload it with, because that's often what they do. It like in Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Electro, they're like, if we overload him, he'll pop or whatever.
They never say
that, but that's what he does. Yeah, he gets it all. He runs up along the gantry or whatever, gets his little arm spike thing, which I'm pretty sure in the films is like used for stabbing people, and he just like dive bombs down into it.
But he's also, because at this point Lewis is like, no, Robocop, what are you doing? And he's like,
I don't know.
He says, nobody, not even cyborgs, live forever. And it's like, oh, so it's a suicide plan.
It's like a kamikaze thing. It is wild.
And I think he then says it's going to be an energy overload. But it's like,
but he's just made this up himself.
Yeah, because like the Deathspore was going to go suck up that energy anyway.
Yeah, but I guess maybe he's going to deliver it all in one big load.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, he basically he grabs it all. He runs and does a big dive bomb and with his spike, like Superman down into it, kind of thing. And then it like blows up or something?
Yeah, Deathspore like blows up and there's a load of smoke, and then Robocop just gets up and walks off, and it's like, okay, sure, whatever.
I literally wrote okay.
He just walks out,
and I've written the Deathspore is no more. Does someone say that?
I've also written Deathspore is no more. I think Robocop comes out and goes, Deathspore is no more,
and then we get Hijiri saying Domo Robo-san, and he's like, thanks for fixing my scientific blunder or something like that. It's like, this is not really this guy's fault.
And Lewis is like, oh, what a guy. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, very strange. I
think I probably shouldn't have watched this at like 8 o'clock this morning.
It's pretty much Saturday morning cartoons though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sunday morning. Yeah, and then we get a little jokey bit at the end where he's like fine now, and they're like, the chicken noodle soup works.
Yeah.
And then the doctor who was being mean
Dr.
earlier,
Tyler.
she comes in and she's sneezing and she's like, oh, have you got any more soup? And then who is it that goes soup for a scientist?
She does. She's like, have you got any more soup? And she's like, I know, soup for a scientist. And Lewis goes, touche. I'm like, what?
I think they said something like soup for a robot earlier, maybe.
But
I think soup for a cyborg, maybe they said.
I thought she was playing on like the Hermal Remedy thing where like, a scientist can't cure it, but a bowl of soup can. And she's like, yeah, well, soup. I need soup to help cure me because I'm a scientist and I can't figure it out.
Yeah, maybe.
Either way, it was weird.
It is a strange choice, yeah.
And then that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
It was bizarre. I think from start to finish, kind of the fact that they made this is bizarre. I can see why, because like we said, it's merchandise, it's selling toys.
Yeah.
But it really felt like it could have been any show, and they just put Robocop in this, and the characters, transplanted over other things. Yeah, if this had just been like you say, like Robot Fireman or whatever, and he was doing the same thing.
Yeah,
it was fine. Like for 20 minutes,
it's like if you could put Zeta in this, and
you can make the same. That's what I mean. Like I think it's the futury vibe. It's the kind of duo. Like it did feel like that kind of thing.
And obviously that's a on the run robot and a kid, but they'd fight the same sort of villain.
Yeah,
as this.
Exactly. Yeah. It was okay. Like I would not watch any more of this if I had a choice about it.
No, nor would I. But like, it wasn't the worst thing I've seen.
No, like I think in ways, I think it was a better episode than like the Incredible Hulk one that we did. Like that was funny because it was like,
I think I enjoyed the Hulk more. I think this was better than the Iron Man episode.
It was definitely better than the Iron Man episode. I mean, I'm just thinking like it felt a little bit more modern than that Hulk one. But I guess then that Hulk one had its own charm because it was because that was like 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that felt more like a Scooby-Doo kind of, super.
Yeah, I think more like old cartoons. I think Devilman was better than this. Like Devilman was good fun.
Well, Devilman was weird because like it
was weird.
It was super weird, and it just had like weird, horrific moments, and like there was like stuff about the child like jumping off a roof or like and there was like the dolls. It was very weird.
Yeah, this was. Even it
was very generic,
but like it's very generic, and they kind of played it a bit too safe.
Yeah,
for like Robocop.
I think like even if the design of the creature had been more, not even more unique, but just more memorable. Yeah, I think that would have really helped it. And maybe I don't know. Maybe if you watch this in sequence and it was like this is one of the corporation's latest mistakes / whatever.
This is like episode 3.
Yeah.
So it's quite early in the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've
about
got
a quarter of the way through,
one bit of trivia.
Oh yeah.
Here, which was hard to find any trivia for this. But originally it was meant to have 13 episodes, the whole series, and it was cut to 12 to help fund a new animated series they wanted to make called Pride of the X-Men. And they took the budget from episode 13 to make a pilot for Pride of the X-Men in 1989. Which it didn't end up going anywhere, but it then set the ground for them to make the X-Men animated series 3 years later. So Robocop is partly to blame for X-Men animated series.
Interesting. Yeah, Pride of the X-Men. That's weird. Is that based on Kitty Pryde?
Yeah, so I think the premise was basically the same as the X-Men animated series, but have Kitty Pryde as
more
the main character.
Figure. Yeah.
Because obviously the X-Men kind of moves around a bit and different episodes center on different characters, but it would have been, I think it probably would have been like her joining the X team. X team. X-Men.
I mean, X team is probably more appropriate, really. But
that's the fun. Considering
that's cool. Like it makes sense. We said the animation kind of was similar, so maybe it would have been the same studios then in some way.
Considering Robert Boxtel and Susan Roman later on voiced people in the X-Men animated series, it kind of came full circle.
Yeah,
in that.
I think it said something to do with Marvel involvement or it was on a Marvel channel later or something. So it was all within the same.
That makes sense. But
and Fox Kids TV or whatever, which aired Spider-Man and X-Men as well. So yeah, it's all in the same
I was like, that makes sense. And it's like, I'm glad they sacrificed an episode of this to make a pilot that didn't work out, that would then lead to a good TV show.
Very true, yeah.
But yeah, do you have anything else to talk about Robocop?
No, not really. No, I feel like if I'd watched a film of Robocop before, maybe I'd have a bit more to say.
I didn't realize that it was going to be more than just Robocop that were taken from the film. I feel like if you'd seen the Robocop film, you might be like, oh yeah, that's that character, and maybe get into it a bit more. So like,
I also feel like the tone change would be a bit weird as well.
But I was kind of like, I kind of wish I'd seen Robocop properly at least.
I don't think I fully appreciated this, but you know, it was a fun watch. It was what we wanted, just like a nice little easy one.
Yeah, exactly.
To get us back
so what are you thinking for a rating?
I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like it's in the top half of as in like it's five or more for me. I wouldn't say it's like a particularly bad thing. Like because it was 20 minutes, it was fairly easy to watch. I'm thinking probably like about like a 6, which is giving it a bit of credit there. Like it probably could have gone with a 5, but I feel like it wasn't completely in the middle. Like I did enjoy it more than I didn't enjoy it.
Fair enough.
What about you?
I'm going to give it a 5 just because I was like,
it was
a bit of nothing really.
It was a bit generic, like we said.
Yeah. Cool. So that is Robocop. We keep calling it Robocop the animated series. It's just called Robocop. It's just called
Robocop, which is confusing.
Yeah, it's the one of 3 things called just Robocop. Because obviously there's the original film,
just Robocop,
and the 2014 film.
There was also another animated Robocop series a couple of years later. I saw.
Yeah, there was.
Which I think somewhere it said it was even more kid friendly. I don't know how.
Yeah, so we had the Robocop films. There's Robocop 2, 3, and then the reboot in 1987, 1990, 93.
Yeah.
And then there was a Robocop TV series, a live action one. It came out in 94, so after Robocop 3.
Okay.
Primarily aimed at children and young teenagers.
Yeah.
And then there was in 2001 Robocop Prime Directives, which was another it was 4 episodes. I think it was a Canadian miniseries.
Probably a bit like the Tremors one that we watched. That kind of thing. Yeah.
And then there's 2 animated series, the one we watched and Robocop Alpha Commando.
Alpha Commando, yes, I did see this.
In 1998, which looks more like kind of that building on that kind of X-Men animation type stuff. Yeah. And that had 2 seasons, so I assume that was better.
Okay,
but still kid stuff. But I think I read that I think Robocop 3 is pretty kid friendly as well by that point as well. I think.
How bizarre.
Yeah, they had the first one, then kind of dialed it back, which I think I saw the critical reception for the films.
It's just gone down and down.
Like the first one, 91%, and then it goes 30, and then 6.
Woo! And then I didn't realise 2 was so disdained.
Same. And then the remake got 48%, so pretty even split. But yeah, so basically, if we're gonna watch any more Robocop stuff, maybe we just watch the original film and not bother with anything else.
I thought that Gary Oldman's in the reboot.
Yeah, I saw that. There's a few people in the reboot.
Yeah, Michael Keaton as well.
Yeah. And obviously
I thought that it was directed by someone that I knew, but I don't recognize the name of the director here.
Of the new
Jose Padilla.
No, I don't know either. But the guy who played Robocop was
Joel Kinnaman,
No, in the original, he's part of the Project alumni.
Paul. I always think he's called Paul Weller.
It was Peter Weller.
Peter Weller. What do we see him in?
He was in. What was it? Where's it gone? It was something.
Oh, didn't he voice someone?
No, I think
Peter Weller.
Sure he was in something. I think it was like the Laramie Project or something. Maybe I'm getting it mixed up with something else. Where is it? Yeah, maybe I was wrong. I can't remember.
It's come up with Project Zomboid. That's weird.
Project Zomboid. I don't think he was in Project Zomboid.
I don't think he is in. You know what he was in, which you haven't seen?
What?
He was in an episode of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Fair enough. I haven't seen that.
He was almost mentioned on the podcast.
What he was also in, which I don't know if you've seen, which is Buckaroo Banzai.
I still haven't seen that.
He's Buckaroo Banzai.
It's been on my list for a very long time, and it's heavily referenced in Ready Player One, isn't it?
Yeah. It's really good fun, that film.
Yeah, no, I will watch that at some point.
But we're just talking nonsense now, so I think we might as well go on to the segment where we actually just talk nonsense, which means it's time for Personal Projects.
It's personal.
Projects.
So, Sam, what have you been reading, watching, playing, or creating?
Some of those things, yeah. I went to cinema twice last week. One of them was to see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which we have talked about on the Silver Screen Project episode, which should be out by now if you're listening to this. We just recorded it right before this, so it should be out, so I won't go into any detail on that. And the other thing, can you guess what I saw?
The Little Mermaid.
No.
Fast X.
I saw Fast X at the cinema.
That was a safer bet.
Yeah. So it's the first Fast and Furious film that I've ever seen at the cinema, because I didn't watch all of them in the cinema, because I don't know that many people that would have done that. I only kind of got onto them in the last year or so, really.
Yeah.
I think a lot of big fans of the series, even kind of casual / ironic fans, as I guess I kind of fall into a little bit, like kind of didn't like this one, but
okay,
I liked it because it was seeing a big stupid action film in the cinema. It
was it like as expected?
It was exactly what I expected. Yeah. Like the funny thing was, it ends on a cliffhanger, just like another film that we are talking about at some point. I'm trying not to spoil now as I say it, but it ends on a cliffhanger, but a really stupid cliffhanger where it doesn't say to be continued. It just like ends. It's like, okay, well, I'm guessing they're doing another one.
Well, they are doing another one.
They are doing another one. I don't know if it's next year or a couple of years away. I don't know if it's filmed or anything, but it was an interesting one. Jason Mamoa is the bad guy in this.
Yeah.
And he's like the only person that's really having fun in the film. Like he's playing the son of a bad guy from one of the better films, Fast 5, which is 5 films ago, if you're not including the
Is this one still set before Tokyo Drift?
No, we've gone past that already.
Okay.
But he's the son, and they open the film with it's that kind of thing where it's like it's the same scene from another film but reshot with another character added in.
Right.
And it's quite silly, like it's like if they panned to the side, he would just be standing there kind of thing. And it's kind of it's one of the it's the bit where the safe's getting dragged around Rio. You've probably seen clips of that. And it's one of the bits that everyone's like, this is one of the better sequences they've done. And they kind of redo a lot of that at the start. And you're like, okay, you're kind of leaning on like good faith kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they even, one of the scenes later is it's set in Rome and the Vatican City. And there's this like neutron bomb that happens to be ball shaped and it's just rolling through the streets. And it's kind of the same scene again. Okay. But there's some great action scenes. But Jason Momoa, he's the son of a guy that got killed in another film kind of thing. So it's the classic Fast thing where he's coming back for revenge. His family, but he's the bad family and all that. And it's he's like playing it like really kind of campy. Like he's kind of got a mixture of like kind of Deadpool-y vibes because he's doing lots of quips, which isn't massively like the kind of thing that's in this universe.
Yeah.
He's having a lot of fun with it. He's wearing kind of quite effeminate clothing at time, kind of piratey kind of vibes. He's got like big kind of pink silky kind of trousers and like lots of necklaces. It seems almost fun. Like what Jason Momoa would just wear every day kind of thing. But yeah, he's having a lot of fun with it. And like he kind of has this kind of jokery vibe where he's like manipulating lots of situations and he's kind of, it's a mixture of Joker and Riddler, but like with this kind of campy vibe to it. So I really enjoyed all that.
Fair enough.
But they introduce lots of new characters. Brie Larson's in it. She's like this agency person. She doesn't really get that much to do. I feel like she was a bit of a waste. They introduce a couple more characters. It's like, there's so many people in this already. You don't need to keep introducing characters. And Dominic Toretto's son is in it quite a lot, because you saw the bit when you came around where there was the baby.
The baby, yeah.
That baby is now like 10 years old.
Okay.
And he's like definitely black, and the mum is like a blonde woman. So I know Vin Diesel is kind of slightly ethnically ambiguous, and he always talks about he doesn't know who his dad is, and he feels like he's part of lots of races. And it's like, but this kid is like definitely black, and it's like, that's an interesting casting choice there. But
okay,
it's fun. Like there's good moments. John Cena's in it a bit. He's a kind of charming self. I know you haven't seen Peacemaker, but it's that kind of vibe. There's some good action scenes, but it kind of ends in a really weird way, and it's just. Yeah, it's very silly, but I did come out of it like, I'm glad I saw this in the cinema.
Did you go on your own?
No, Amy came with me.
Okay.
No, she's been watching them with me. So yeah, and like everyone gets a little moment. Like Jason Statham's in it for one scene. He does all his action stuff, and then he's like, I need to go save someone else, so I'm off. And it's like, okay. It does feel like a lot of this was felt like a lot of this was filmed in lots of different places with different actors doing different things.
Who never actually met each other on set.
And they kind of do the thing where they split the group and they have different groups off doing different adventures, which works if they come back together. But if they're all still separate at the end, which they are, it kind of feels a bit disjointed. It's got that kind of problem with it. But generally speaking, I had a good time with
Fair
it.
enough.
So I can't complain too much. As I said, it was exactly what I expected going in, really. So I'm like, whatever. I liked it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, when the next one comes out, we've got however many to do silver screen project.
Well, I would have all of them to watch.
Yeah, I know. Well,
I think I've seen the first one.
I'll watch them all again. So
yeah.
What have you been up to?
So I've watched a few things. One thing I started watching a couple of nights ago, maybe Friday night. A Netflix miniseries, Inside Man, with David Tennant and Stanley Tucci. Yeah, I've watched the first 2 episodes, and it's pretty good. It's quite like dark. With David Tennant, he's not like a villain, but he plays a vicar.
Yes, I've seen pictures of him as a vicar.
But he's good, and it's basically like 2 ongoing stories that are very loosely connected.
Okay, yeah.
And it's David Tennant gets up to some a set of events happen, and he's kind of, whoa, I don't know what to do.
Right, okay, yeah.
Meanwhile, there's a British reporter talking to Stanley Tucci, who's in prison for murdering his wife, and he's kind of like, lots of people go visit him to try and solve cases, sort of stuff, because he was like a professor of criminology.
So he's kind of like a Hannibal Lecter kind of vibe.
Yeah. And all his scenes are really fun. Okay. He's got like a guy with him who's got like a photographic memory, who he kind of sits with, who's like a brutal murderer, but like it kind of plays it. It's quite fun, and it's kind of, they're quite tonally different, the 2 bits. It's kind of like,
is it within the same episode? It will cut back and forth between them, right?
Because this reporter who's seeing Stanley Tucci is friends with someone who's around in the David Tennant story, so that's the link. But like,
so at this point, is it kind of like you're wondering how closely these are going to get involved?
Yeah, you can see how they're going to get involved. It's just taken. I've watched 2 of the 4 episodes.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
All the David Tennant stuff is kind of those things that it's like, it's stressful to watch because you're like, no, don't do that. Like, oh.
Okay,
stop.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to know the details, but I can kind of imagine, based on what you've said, maybe the pickle that he's found himself in is it kind of covering tracks kind of thing? Is it that kind of?
Partly. I would not say what it is.
I would quite like to watch it. I
do recommend it because it's only 4 episodes. They're each like an hour.
Yeah,
I've watched the first 2 and I was like, this is good. And the first episode starts, which can give away, which I saw a clip of and I didn't realize it was from this.
Yeah.
Where it's some guy on the tube who's being like really inappropriate, kind of like sticking his dick in like this woman's
Oh,
face,
right, okay,
and this woman stands up and like starts pointing his camera at him and being like, "This is Facebook Live,"
Okay.
and like loads of other women start doing it, and then he ends up getting arrested the next day. And I was like, "Oh, I've seen that clip. That's quite fun."
Okay.
Is
That a little bit related to what happens? With...
No, it's just
okay.
introducing that woman, basically, who's then in character. I was like, okay.
See.
But yeah, it's some bits, and I was trying to explain it to Christina in more detail, and like it's really hard to kind of explain the plot and why certain characters are doing certain things without having watched it, because you're like, it's hard to kind of justify if you haven't seen it.
Okay, cool.
But you know, I recommend it. It's on Netflix, so give it a go.
Yeah, literally, I think it was either earlier today or yesterday we were scrolling through and it came up and Amy was like, "Oh, that looks quite interesting."
Yeah,
so,
at first I thought, because it was called Inside Man and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, maybe David Tennant's playing like an evil villain." I was like, I always like seeing David Tennant
or like
as a
some
villain,
sort of spy thing. That's why it comes to mind, doesn't it?
And it's not that, but it's good fun. And I was like, David Tennant's great. He always is.
Yeah.
So
oh, cool. Yeah.
I recommend it.
I think I'd seen the Vicar picture of him separately, maybe as a poster or a bust thing.
I saw
something.
an interview. He was on Graham Norton, and he was talking about.
He's on Graham Norton, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think he was promoting this because he
Yeah.
was talking about how his dad was a vicar.
Oh, really?
So
I didn't know that. No.
yeah, he was telling a story about how like he still never like swears in front of his dad, and that's a big no. But like his dad doesn't mind watching him perform and swearing.
Yeah.
And apparently when he was a bit younger, his dad loved Father Ted and would quote that and swear from that, but it's fine because it's quoting Father Ted.
Oh, that's funny, yeah.
But it's really good. So I'm quite intrigued to see how the last 2 episodes go, because it's sort of situation where I don't know how these characters are going to resolve the issue they found themselves in. So it'll be interesting.
Cool.
So I will probably finish that off sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I would like to watch that. We're kind of in the middle of a couple of different series. There was a couple that I didn't want to talk about until I kind of finished it because I had other bits to talk about. But I'm tempted to. I'll either start that after or we'll see how it goes.
But I also last night rewatched Quantumania for the first time.
Did you? Yes, Amy hasn't seen that because we saw it in the cinema together.
Yeah. Christina hadn't seen it because we went to the cinema to see it. And when we saw it, because we did it for silver screen, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think on second watch, I'm a bit more positive about it than first time round. I think because it was kind of in that set of films that were just a bit disappointing with Thor and Black Panther.
And it's quite different to the other Ant-Man as well, isn't it?
Yeah. But on the second one, I was like, actually, this is pretty good. And like, it's quite funny. Paul Rudd's charming. So it's like, it does help. I was like, I still think the ending seemed a bit like flat. But I was like, actually, I think this film's better than I gave it credit for. So
yeah, I would like to watch it. Like I say, Amy hasn't seen it, so I'd quite happily watch it with her if she wanted to. And it wasn't that long ago now, was it?
No.
But it feels like a while ago.
It was on Disney Plus like a week or 2 ago. It was added. So yeah. Anything else you've been?
Well, I mean, I've been trying my best to get through Breath of the Wild because Tears of the Kingdom came out a couple of weeks ago now. I think it was mid-May actually. So yeah, it's a couple of weeks. I've kind of been taking my time with it, partly because I was only about halfway through the main story, and there's all the plethora of other things, and I've kind of just gone like, unless something particularly takes my interest, I'm just going to focus on the main stuff. I've been doing pretty well. I'm at the point where I could do the final sequence, but I've just kind of been building up gear and stuff just to kind of enjoy it as much as I can. And I was talking to a friend of ours who has it, and he was saying because it's mechanically quite similar, it's like new and improved version, almost like I imagine the new Spider-Man will be compared to the original Insomniac Spider-Man. If I went back to back, it might be not quite as or even just like, oh, it's kind of the same, but So I think I'll finish this, give it till like maybe next paycheck, and then buy the game with that one. Just to have a little bit of breath of the wild in between. A bit of a breather of the wild in between. But no, I'm really enjoying it, and it's nice to have that kind of motivation to keep going through it, because it's the kind of game, we've spoken about it before, you can just get lost and just do fucking whatever in it and stuff.
Exactly.
But
you can play it for like 10 hours without doing any plot stuff sort of game.
But I keep hearing little bits and pieces about some of the new mechanics in the new one. There's like a whole So it's the same map, but like there's been like a cataclysmic event, so stuff's been changed around and stuff. And then there's a whole sky area of different islands and a whole like underground depths hell world thing as well. So although it's the same basic map, there's like new whole dungeons that are supposed to be really
different
difficult.
levels,
And,
literally
different levels. And there's the whole, I don't know how much you know about you can build stuff. So you can build like a vehicle by like putting different blocks together and adding engine,
Right.
kind of like a kind of Minecrafty vibe.
Yeah.
So all that together, you can make a flying machine to go around the top, and there seems like a lot of really fun new things. But yeah, I think because like there's I played this one 6 or 7 years after it came out, so there's no reason not to wait a little bit longer for the next one, especially when they're like 50 quid for a new game. It's like yeah.
And if you give yourself a bit of a breather, then you'll be more exciting.
Exactly.
Back into it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. I have watched other couple of bits and pieces, but I'll probably wait till I finish those seasons before I talk about them on here. Have you watched anything?
I've got a couple bits, but like I'll save it for maybe next time, or maybe a time when I've got nothing to say about.
Yeah. That was what I did for weeks and weeks. Just stored them all up until a rainy day.
Which I guess brings us to the end of the episode. So thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed this, it'd be much appreciated if you give us 5 stars on whatever you listen to this on. It's always helpful and helps get the word out about the pod. If you could also go tell people about the pod. If you know someone who you think will be like, oh, I think they'd like the project, be like, oh, you should listen to the project.
Any big Robocop fans in your family or friend group? They might like this.
Or maybe people who just like to listen to 2 guys chat shit for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, and they've listened to all the other ones and they're finished all of those.
Yeah.
We're the next one to listen to.
Exactly. But you can get in contact with us, can't you?
Yes, you can. So yeah, if you want to suggest a future topic for us, you can send us an email at theprojectpod@gmail.com. We're also on almost every single social media outlet, if that's what they're called. So you can find all of those in the link tree in the episode description. You can also find YouTube on there where we upload the YouTube versions of the episodes, and TikTok will have clips, so kind of little best ofs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So that is the show. I will hear you next week.
Yeah, and I'll see you in that horrible Detroit future version of Detroit. I think it's called Old Detroit, which is not very... Yeah. I'll see you in Old Detroit.
Bye.
Bye.